Hello everyone, welcome to Barca News. It is March 5th, 2026, and a huge bombshell today in the Barcelona presidential elections because Marc Ciria has been disqualified. Yes, you heard that right. Marc Ciria has been disqualified. Also, I'm going to tell you how Marc Bernal has matched the record of the biggest crybaby known to humans, which is Vinícius Jr. And finally, I'm gonna talk to you about how Barcelona could get an influx of cash come this summer transfer market thanks to no other than Chelsea. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Boo. We'll begin this video with a huge bombshell in the presidential elections, or the Barcelona presidential elections, because Marc Ciria, ladies and gentlemen, has been disqualified. Now, as I told you in a previous video, Monday was the deadline for the pre-candidates to submit the required 2,337 signatures in order to become official presidential candidates. And well, out of the 6 pre-candidates, only 3 of them were able to turn in or submit the required signatures. It started with Joan Laporta, who submitted 8,170 signatures. In second place was Victor Font, who submitted 5,144 signatures. And in third place was Marc Ciria, who submitted 2,845 signatures, with the other 3 candidates not being able to submit in the required signatures, and therefore they were disqualified. And of course, amongst them was Xavi Vilajuana. Well, yesterday I told you how the Catalan reporter J. Jordi had mentioned during El Chiringuito that 500 plus of Marc Ciria's signatures were dubious, or there was something wrong with them. Of course, Marc Ciria's campaign answered these allegations by saying that yes, some of the signatures were not accompanied by copies of the IDs of the socios who signed them, which of course is a requirement by the Barcelona bylaws. However, under Spanish law, no one can force you to show your ID. So Marc Ciria campaign admitting that yes, some signatures did not accompany the required copy of ID, but that those signatures were less than 100, not 500 plus like J. Jordi had mentioned. And of course, I said, well, doesn't matter, because either way, the club is going to verify these signatures. They're going to go through one by one to make sure each signature meets the requirements of the club, right? Because you can't just submit signatures and be like, here you go, 3,000 signatures. And it's like your dog, your cat, your 3-month-old baby. No, the club verifies every signature that's submitted by every single candidate. And well, lo and behold, after reviewing the signatures, Barcelona have disqualified Marc Ciria because out of the 2,845 signatures that he submitted, the club has invalidated approximately 500 signatures, bringing down his total to 2,247 signatures, 90 signatures short of the required 2,337. And as such, Marc Ciria has been disqualified. So the 2 official candidates are Joan Laporta and Victor Font. Now, the 2 of them also had signatures invalidated. This wasn't like some kind of attack at Marc Ciria or something like that. You know, not all signatures are going to count, because the ballot or the form that the soci has to submit has to follow certain rules. And if there's something out of whack, if the ballot doesn't match or doesn't follow the rules, that ballot gets thrown out. So for example, Joan Laporta had 944 signatures thrown out, bringing down his total from 8,170 to 7,226. Doesn't matter, way above the required amount. Victor Font had 704 signatures ruled invalid, bringing his total down from 5,144 down to 4,440. Again, it doesn't matter, way above the required minimum. But Marc Ciria, again, he is 90 signatures short, which means that he is officially disqualified. Now, Marc Ciria's campaign has said that they will appeal this. They do have 3 business days to appeal this decision. So we'll see what will happen. But for now, your only 2 candidates for the Barcelona presidential elections are Joan Laporta and Victor Font. What a blow to Marc Ciria. By the way, Marc Ciria, the only candidate who was not open to joining the candidacy of Victor Font. We'll see whether if his appeal fails, he does end up joining Victor Font. We'll see if Xavi Villajuana, who also failed, ends up joining Victor Font. But aren't you glad you're a Barcelona fan? Because what's a day in a Barcelona fan life without drama? But anyways, let's move on to the next bit of news because the preparations continue ahead of this weekend's match against Athletic Club de Bilbao, where Barcelona will look to remind Athletic Club that, well, they are a third-tier club that for some reason they thought they could, step up to us because Nico Williams chose them. Well, don't worry, Athletic Club de Bilbao, this weekend we will remind you where you belong, which is mid of the table. But as you know, during yesterday's podcast, I told you how Hansi Flick had called up two youngsters, which of course was Patricio Pacifico, the newly signed Barcelona player, or Barca Athletic player, I should say, and Xavi Espart. Since, Barcelona have two injuries, Jules Koundé and Alejandro Balde. But today, Hansi Flick called up yet another youngster to first-team training, which was no other than Álvaro Cortés. Now, if you don't know who Álvaro Cortés is, he's a 20-year-old center back who's currently the captain or one of the captains of Barca Athletic. He's a left-footed center back who is known for his ability to read the game and anticipate danger early. And, well, he is training currently with the first team. We'll see whether Hansi Flick will be calling them up for the match against Athletic Club Bilbao during this weekend. Now, one player who could be getting called up and who Barcelona's doctors are very optimistic that could be getting a call up during this weekend's match is no other than Robert Lewandowski, who suffered a fracture to his left eye socket during a match against Villarreal, ended up missing the second leg of the Copa del Rey semifinals against Atletico Madrid. He was seen training yesterday with a mask, and now the doctors are optimistic that he could get a call-up during this weekend against Athletic Club de Bilbao, where he could get some minutes, probably not from the get-go. I don't think he's going to start, but he could be available, which of course is big news because, well, we need all the firepower we can use up front since, God help us, Ferran Torres insists on remaining a sardine and refuses to, well, become a shark like he has every now and then in the past. Now, speaking of the second leg of the Copa del Rey semifinal, we have to talk about Marc Bernal, who scored a double against Atletico Madrid. And with those two goals, Bernal has officially matched the debut record of the biggest crybaby known to humankind, Vinícius Jr. See, Vinícius Jr. during his debut season 2018-2019 scored 4 goals across 31 matches for a total of 1,742 playing minutes. And now Marc Bernal has scored 4 goals in his first 695 minutes. That is half, actually. Not half. That's a third of the time that it took Vinícius Jr. to score 4 goals. That's how long it took Marc Bernal, who not only took him a third of the minutes, but also took him half of the amount of matches to score 4 goals, the same as Vinícius Jr. And let's not forget, Marc Bernal still has 3 months left this season, so he can, of course, increase that number. I guess Vinícius Jr. will forever be haunted by defensive midfielders, first by Rodri, who beat him to the Ballon d'Or, and now by Bernal, who has matched his debut record with 1/3 of the played minutes. Absolutely crazy. I guess Vinícius Jr. will forever be the biggest crybaby ever known to mankind. All right, let's end today's video because, ladies and gentlemen, Barcelona could see a cash influx come this summer transfer market, and it could all be thanks to no other than Chelsea, who love to throw their money away. By the way, Chelsea, if you want to throw your money away, you could throw some of it down this way because, hey, and you don't even have to throw that much. A few thousand euros. I'm okay with that. But what I'm talking about is, of course, through El Tigriño, the Bito Joaquin, who someone should tell him that his celebration does not go hard. If anything, it's the total opposite. Please stop celebrating like that. You look goofy as fuck. But anyways, Bito Joaquin signed for Palmeiras for 25.5 million euros fixed plus 5 million euros in variables. And, well, Barcelona retained 20% of the rights of the player. And now it's being reported that Chelsea are looking to make a 50 million euro offer for the Palmeiras player to bring him back to Europe. And since Barcelona own 20% of the rights of the player, if this deal goes through, that means Barcelona would earn 10 million euros. Not bad at all. Now, of course, this doesn't mean that this deal could close for 50 million because they're reporting in Brazil that Palmeiras believe that 50 million is too low for their star player. So the deal, if does end up closing, it could end up closing for much, much more, which, of course, the more it closes, well, the more we make. Now, there is a caveat in that contract where if Palmeiras sell Vinícius for less than 40 million euros, Barcelona only get 10%. But if they sell him for more than 40 million, then Barcelona would get 20%. So let's hope Chelsea or whichever club end up throwing a lot of money at Palmeiras for Vinícius so we can make, well, 20% of that. That is all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and as always, peace, Barca.